Are you ready?
It's going to be a hot girl disco summer. I'm never doing that again. I apologize. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Here, let's fix it. Something cool. What's up, YouTube fam? It's your boy, Big Draft Energy, and you guys came here to find out which quarterbacks you need to start and which ones you need to sit. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Coming in first, we got the Thursday night opening season kickoff football schedule starting, and my words are not wording, but I'm just really excited. We got the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, and Jalen Hurts. They are 7.5-point favorites hosting the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. The over-under is 47.5. You guys will notice that the second highest implied point total on the week is 47.5. So there's going to be a heck of a lot of points in this game. So let's get right into it. Jalen Hurts has a very advantageous matchup as a rusher. He has a very advantageous matchup as a passer. You're starting Jalen Hurts without a shadow of a doubt. Based off of the upside and the high implied point total, you have no choice but to start Dak Prescott because that defense surely is not going to stop Philadelphia. So the only way that they can stay in the game is if Dak Prescott and that offense are humming. All right, next game in Brazil, we got Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers hosting Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers are underdogs by 3. The over-under is 45.5. And even though, the Chargers are hosting, the game is in Brazil, and hopefully we don't see any of the situations that happened last year to a quarterback that I absolutely loved in this game. And I will say this, right? If you look at both of these defenses, they're very stout against the run. Where they are weak is significant chunk plays in the pass. More so, the Los Angeles Chargers give up a lot of touchdown equity to chunk plays, not a lot of volume, whereas the Chiefs give up a lot of volume, but minimal touchdown equity. Regardless, both of these quarterbacks are smash starts. You need to have them in your lineup. Oh, yeah, and at the end of the video, guys, we're going to have our top 14 quarterbacks for Week 1 rankings. And on top of that, we're going to also be giving you guys some of our favorite bets, some of our favorite props, some of our just all that. So like the video, subscribe, and going into the next game, we got the New Orleans Saints hosting the Arizona Cardinals. The Saints are 6.5-point dogs at home. The over-under is 42.5. And I'll tell you this right now, Spencer Rattler's definitive sit. And I think Kyler Murray, it's tough to trust Kyler Murray, but this is one of the most advantageous matchups. He has the weapons, he has the arsenal, he has the ability. It's just time for us to see if they could put it all together. I'm willing to gamble on Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is a top 14 quarterback for me this week. I also like Kyler Murray over his longest rush. I believe they have him at 12.5. Smash the over on that. I think we're going to see him do it a little bit on the ground, and we're definitely going to see him air it out a heck of a lot. There's only so much James Conner can do. With that being said, I think Kyler Murray is a must start, and he's kind of one of those guys where it's like the upside and the ceiling's there. But, are we going to get him at his floor, or are we going to get him to outperform his ADP? Time will tell. This is a wonderful matchup to find out right away against a very terrible Saints secondary. All right, next game is one of my favorite games on the week. I love both of these guys as DFS plays and DFS starts, and I would love both of these guys as top 14 quarterbacks, but one of them I trust more than the other, and we'll tell you guys who it is shortly. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are 3-point favorites hosting the Carolina Panthers. The over-under is 46.5, and you know what? I think that there's going to be more points than that. If you look at both of these defenses, the Jaguars were bottoms last year in terms of passing touchdown equity and passing yardage equity. Where they weren't bottoms was like completions, because just everything went to the house for a touchdown. And same thing with the Carolina Panthers. These guys were absolutely awful. It wasn't volume. It was just chunk plays and touchdowns. I anticipate both of these quarterbacks are going to score well over 2 touchdowns each, like 2 passing touchdowns minimum. I like this game. I like this game a heck of a lot. In DFS, I'm smashing both of these players, and I love Trevor Lawrence for over his longest rush, because we look at what Liam Cohen did last year with Baker Mayfield. He unleashed his rushing upside and his rushing prowess that was borderline underrated and forgotten from his years in college. And if you guys recall, Trevor Lawrence was an absolute phenomenal runner of the football. So Liam Cohen Trevor Lawrence, week 1. I believe we're going to see Trevor Lawrence just hit his longest rush. I like his passing touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence is a smash start, and I think if you're in a super flex or if you have shaky quarterback play like a Justin Fields or an Aaron Rodgers in a terrible matchup, and we'll get to that matchup, I think Bryce Young is a fine start. I'm okay with Bryce Young starting. He's my QB 15 on the week. All right, coming in next, we got Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns hosting Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cleveland Browns are 5.5-point dogs. The over-under is 47.5. Once again, guys, you'll see that a lot of the games is relatively the same with the over-under being 47.5. There's only one game that really stands out in the implied point total. So with that being said, you look at what the Cincinnati Bengals defense gave up last year. They gave up the most passing touchdowns at 43. They gave up the most passing yards at 4,918. 200 more passing yards was given up to that team than any other team. And they literally did nothing to address it this offseason. Nothing. Like, yes, they brought in Shamar Stewart, and I think Shamar Stewart's going to be a fine pro, but there's only so much one pass rusher can do. And yes, Trey Hendrickson came back on a contract. Now, here's my only hesitation with Joe Flacco, and I do like him as a DFS play, and I think he's a solid QB2 in a super flex, but I'm not starting him in single quarterback leagues. And if he is your single quarterback, boy, you need the guy's Patreon to help you out, because God, it's just tough. Joe Burrow, on the other hand, he's easily a top 10 quarterback each and every single week with his two weapons. The Cleveland Browns is an advantageous matchup as well. I love Joe Burrow to hit his completions. I believe his completions are set at 33.5. I love the over on his completions. And I also love Joe Burrow to pass for over 1.5 touchdowns. And I also love both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to go over their longest receptions. That's borderline a lock, especially against Cleveland. They seem to give that up early and often. I love Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a smash start. Doesn't matter if he's your pay up in DFS either. And I think Joe Flacco is a sneaky DFS upside. Once again, guys, target the high implied point totals, and we got a couple of them. All right, next game, not a game with a high implied point total. We got my New England Patriots, who are 2.5-point favorites, hosting the Las Vegas Raiders in the Josh McDaniels revenge game. The over-under is 42.5, and here's why it's the Josh McDaniels revenge game. If you guys may not recall, a couple of years ago, Josh McDaniels was the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. They fired him while he was trick-or-treating with his kids. Now, fast forward week 1, he's playing his old team, the Las Vegas Raiders. He's the offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots once again, and I think he's going to drop all the tricks, all the bags, all the treats on that defense, and he's going to make them feel sorry for ever letting him go, especially when he was trick-or-treating with his kids. That was gutless, that was heartless, but once again, it's the pros, and if you're not doing your job as a head coach, you deserve to be fired. He's a better offensive coordinator than a head coach. I'm grateful he's back with the Patriots. Nevertheless, I think Drake May's in a smash position as a start. I think Geno Smith is a definite sit. I think Drake May's got that rushing upside. He's got that passing touchdown equity. I think we're going to see him matriculate the ball down the field and hit a bunch of completions. And he's one of the freest, longest rush props bets, ever. Like, he hits that early and often. There's a statistic where he ran for over 15, and 15 being the floor. He averaged the most rushing yards per rush last year, which is absolutely insane. So longest rush prop for him is a smash this week, and every other week, because the dude's an athletic beast and he's a specimen. I also like his completions, especially when you look at Josh McDaniels and what he does with that offense. I think Geno Smith could find the end zone, especially with Christian Gonzalez as of today being banged up. And today's September 1st. Wake me up when September ends. So yeah, I like him to matriculate the ball down the field. But yeah, Geno Smith, if Christian Gonzalez is out, I would consider Geno Smith as like a potential start, but I don't love the play. I don't love it because the offensive line is still no better, right? I know they got a new running back. I know they got a couple new receivers, and I know they got a new quarterback, but the offensive line is relatively the same. The offensive line last year was tragic. Speaking of tragic offensive lines, both of these teams, relatively tragic. We got the Indianapolis Colts, who are 1.5-point favorites, oddly enough, against Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. The over-under is 47. And I'll tell you right now, I think this is a smash matchup. Like, I think this is a phenomenal matchup for Daniel Jones. I think this is a phenomenal matchup for Tua Tagovailoa. But it's like, are these guys good enough to meet that, right? So in DFS, I'm comfortable starting them. In a super flex, you kind of have to start them. I will say this. It's not quarterback advice, and it's not quarterback bets because like there's way too many variables that I cannot account for with the volatility of both of these guys' playing styles and the terrible offensive line play. And yes, Indianapolis Colts lost 2 significant offensive linemen. I'm anticipating this is going to be a great matchup for volume when it comes to reception upside, but not passing touchdown equity. I do like Daniel Jones's ability to be a rusher, but like, are we going to see that untapped week 1? Remains to be seen, especially when Miami doesn't have any of their defensive backs that they came into the season with because they're literally all freaking hurt. We almost cursed it, but we caught ourselves. So I will say this: I'm not a guy who does a lot of kicker stuff, but based off of me not believing that Daniel Jones could translate the advantageous matchups into a bunch of touchdowns, I like Jonathan Taylor for over 1.5 touchdowns, and I also like the field goal kicker to be just the overall field goal kicker #1 on the week because it's such a wonderful matchup. I don't even know what his name is, but we don't do kickers just based off the analysis projections and the high implied point total. You just look at Daniel Jones; he's not going to convert. As for Tua Tagovailoa, like start him. It makes sense to start him. That offense is either one of the most high-powered offenses or the laughing stock of the league. No in between. You don't play this game to be safe, and he's definitely not a safe play, but he's a high ceiling play, and it's a great matchup. The Indianapolis Colts were like bottom 10 in every explosive statistical category against quarterbacks last year. And once again, other than like a couple of pieces here and there, they don't really do much to address it, and they still got the same DC. All right, next game. Hold on. There we go. We got Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders, who are 6-point favorites hosting the New York Giants. The over-under is 44.5 versus Russell Wilson's. And I'll tell you this: I'm not comfortable starting Russell Wilson, but I'm okay starting Russell Wilson because of how bad this Washington Commanders secondary is as well. They're not a good secondary. The implied point total is going to be there. My only worry with Jaden Daniels is like this pass rush is fearsome. And like Jaden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback every week he starts. Like we have him as a top 5 quarterback this week. But this pass rush is so fearsome. Like I think we're going to see like one of the most aggressive pass rushes in a really, really long time. Just on paper, they're phenomenal. Like people are forgetting that they drafted one of my favorite prospects, Darius Alexander, week 2. I think he's going to be running for his life. Yes, the offensive line improved because they added 1 tackle, but across the board, this front 7 is fearsome. They have a heck of a lot of depth as well. So I'm kind of worried for Jaden Daniels. Upside, once again, we always play for the upside. We love the upside play, and he's as high of an upside play as you can possibly have the quarterback position. I just hope that he leads this game healthy because that pass rush is absolutely terrifying. Russell Wilson, I'm not suggesting to start him, but I understand if you do because the upside's there because the Washington Commanders are meh. So yeah, obviously start Jaden Daniels, bench Russell Wilson unless you don't have any other quarterback situations. Then once again, head over to the guys Patreon and Discord so we can help you guys, maximize or minimize the damage that you guys already caused and maximize the efficiency and production so you can end up in your fantasy football playoffs and win your fantasy football leagues. Partnered up with my guy Sleez on YouTube. Great sub. Follow him. All right, next game. We got the revenge game, and it's such a weird revenge game. We got so I got this mixed around. So we got the New York Jets, who are 3-point dogs, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. The over-under is 38.5. And I'll just say this. Because of Justin Fields' rushing upside, you kind of have to start him. And I think Justin Fields is going to have to run for his life in this game. I don't see him dropping back and throwing the ball 40, 50 times because that's what this game in the narrative would require because that front 7 is fearsome. Obviously, down the stretch last year, they sucked, but it was due to a lot of injuries. So if the running game for the running backs is going to be a struggle, the passing game is going to be a struggle. The only upside play for Justin Fields is his rushing ability. I just hope he stays healthy like Jaden Daniels because this is a very, very fearsome rush against his old team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who didn't want to give him another contract, right? So we got Aaron Rodgers, who's facing his old team as well. And listen, the New York Jets defense is strong, but it's not one of those defenses where it's like, I'm not going to start a quarterback in a super flex. And that's where I would cap it. Like, I think he's startable in a super flex, Aaron Rodgers, but as a regular quarterback, I feel like you should have better options. If you don't have better options, once again, there's issues because there's also no injuries to talk about at the quarterback position right now. So with that being said, Aaron Rodgers is a sit. Justin Fields, I understand if you spent the draft capital, he's a high upside play, but temper your expectations there. All right, next game before we change up our slides, we got Michael Penix and the Atlanta Falcons, who are actually 2.5-point dogs, hosting Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The over-under is 46. And yeah, both of these quarterbacks are in prime position to just be absolutely elite. Obviously, you want to play the quarterbacks with a rushing upside, but this matchup is so advantageous when it comes to chunk plays and passing touchdowns. And these guys always play each other close with explosive point totals. I love this game. This is a great game. I'm starting both Michael Penix. I'm starting Baker Mayfield. The implied point total is very encouraging. This is going to be one of those games that's going to have a lot of fantasy winners in that lineup. And I think it starts at the quarterback position because Michael Penix was phenomenal last year, and we're not giving him enough credit. I'm starting Michael Penix with confidence. And with confidence, we'll be back and we'll be giving you guys the final lowdown on the games with our top 14 quarterbacks for week 1. And we're back. Coming into the next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks and Sam Darnold, who are 2.5-point dogs at home, hosting Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. The over-under is 44.0. And here's mine, right? I think with the whole situation where, we don't know the wide receiver room and wide receiver situation, anybody who comes off of the waiver essentially as a wide receiver going to San Francisco is probably going to be a good tertiary play. But the common conception is Brock Purdy's going to be okay. He's not in the top 14 this week. I understand if you invested the draft capital and you got correlation with a Christian McCaffrey or a George Kittle or even a Ricky Pearsall that you want to start him. But is he somebody who I'm going to say is going to break fantasy football this weekend? No. Realistically, you're looking anywhere between 14 to 16 fantasy points, and that's okay. That's fine. But I want somebody who's going to break fantasy football. Another guy who I just don't anticipate is going to break fantasy football because he doesn't really wow me as a rusher. We haven't really seen him in this offense is Sam Darnold. I don't like Sam Darnold at all. Start Jalen Milroe. I want Jalen Milroe to take over sooner rather than later. Both of these quarterbacks are just not priority starts for me. If you guys want to start them, fine. For me personally, they're both sits. I like all the receiving weapons on both of those teams. I like the running backs on both of those teams, but the quarterbacks just, they're not desirable. Not interested in it. I apologize. Now I will say, the next game's a very interesting one because the implied point total will tell you that this is terrible. Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos actually are tied for the highest point differential on the week at 7.5. And I believe the over-under is 41, which means that Vegas isn't anticipating a heck of a lot of points, and neither am I. I will say this. Bo Nix's rushing upside is very enticing and very exciting. I love Bo Nix each and every single week. I think Bo Nix is a top 7 quarterback on a weekly basis just because of what he's capable of doing. And I don't think that, I think the Tennessee Titans defense is underrated. I think they're pretty good, but I don't think they're good enough for you to want to not start Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a smash start. He's a top 14 quarterback for me this week. On the other end, you have, a rookie quarterback who's never seen a window that he hasn't tried to fit the ball through. And I think that spells for trouble and problems. One of my favorite bets. So 2 of my favorite bets actually come from this game on the quarterback position. I love Bo Nix passing completions because as a check down king, he always hit his passing completions. He cashed for myself in the community with that exact prop in this Sean Payton scheme and Sean Payton offense, 14 out of 17 fantasy football related weeks last year, which was freaking money. I love him, and I love the over his passing completions because he just takes what the defenses give. That's why I love Bo Nix. He doesn't complicate it. He is a smart, savvy quarterback. On the other end, we have a young, not savvy quarterback who is going to try to force the ball a heck of a lot. So I love whatever the interception line is over for Cam Ward because I feel like he's going to have a tough outing against the number 1 defense in football. And by the way, Zach Allen, the defensive end /3 technique in the 34 defense, take his sacks, take his sack props. I think he's going to beat whatever offensive lineman in front of him like a drum. Yeah, we also bet on sacks. So Zach Allen, take his sacks. Next game, we have my favorite. I hate the let's be real. I hate the Green Bay Packers, but they are my favorite team in the NFC to go to the playoffs. This was even before, not to go to the playoffs, to go to the Super Bowl, to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And this was before the whole Michael Parsons trade. So Michael Parsons trade just makes me feel better about me and my projections. So Jordan Love and the Packers are 2.5-point favorites with the over-under of 47 hosting last year's first place NFC team, the the Detroit Lions and Jared Goffel. And yes, I said Jared Goffel, and I believe that Jared is in fact going to be Goffel this week. He's a sit for me. I understand the implied point totals there, but when the offensive line is as hurting and as bad as it is right now, he's a sit for me. I'm not interested. I think Jordan Love is going to be special. I think he's going to be spectacular. I think he's going to put up a heck of a lot of fantasy points. He's a top 14. So yeah, sit Jared Goff. Hot take, I apologize, and definitely start Jordan Love with confidence, okay? Especially with Matthew Gold. Love that. Here's a game where it's like it could go one of two ways, and I'm betting that it's not going to go the way that we all want it to go, and that is the LA Rams, who are 2.5-point favorites, hosting the Houston Texans. The over-under is 44.0. Now, like, I get the sentiment that there's certain offenses every year that are defense proof. Like, it doesn't matter how good the defense they're facing, these guys are defense proof. I'm not sure if the Houston Texans defense this year makes Matthew Stafford, defense proof. I think there's going to be a lot of volume and a lot of production, but the touchdown equity with zero rushing yards and rushing capabilities for either one of these quarterbacks doesn't have me saying and screaming that these guys are priority start. And like, once again, look at the implied point total. Like, they're projecting 44 points. You would think when these two offenses get together with the air it out approach that it would be like a higher implied point total, but it's not. It's actually one of the lower implied point totals. And that's because Vegas is anticipating that both of these offensive lines, who've gotten worse this offseason, are going against two of the best pass rushes in football. And points are going to be like few and plenty. Give me the field goals. I think the field goals is a smash prop. But am I starting either one of these guys with confidence? Absolutely not. Like, if they're a super flex option, sure, whatever. That's your QB2 and a super flex option. But do I think either one of them are going to be top 16, top 18 quarterbacks this week? Absolutely not. I'm not betting on them. But I mean, like, now we got Sunday Night Football, and these are quarterbacks 1 and 2 on anybody's list, and everybody's list, and rightfully so. We got the revenge game, and the reason why we say revenge game is Baltimore was knocked out of the playoffs last year in the semis against the Buffalo Bills. The Bills come in as 1-point favorites. The over-under is 51.5. By far and away the highest implied total on the week. With that being said, start both of these quarterbacks. The rushing upside, the passing upside, it's going to be stupid. Like, why are we talking about this? Just start both of these quarterbacks. It's like the most common sense thing ever. There's like, these guys are what we call, situation proof, defense proof, because they have that rushing upside and that rushing capability. You could go either way. It's Josh Allen QB1 or Lamar Jackson QB1, or vice versa. Like, either way, you got two quarterbacks here, and it's nice because, like, you don't really have to bet on them in the DFS streets because, like, one of them is going to be the QB1. So it's nice that we have other opportunities with other quarterbacks. Here's quarterbacks with opportunity. This is the last game. This is a Monday Night Football. We got the NFC North divisional matchup with Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, who are 1.5-point dogs against JJ McCarthy and his Minnesota Vikings. And if you look at the implied point total, I'm kind of with Vegas on here. The implied point total is 43.5. Both of these defenses are really good. Both of these defenses are very legitimate, very viable defenses. And both of these quarterbacks are young in essentially new systems. Like, this is the first year we see Caleb Williams with this Ben Johnson offense. And I think there's going to be a learning curve that, like, he's just not going to be able to overcome right away. So we are going to see him struggle. And as for JJ McCarthy, I mean, no quarterback's been set up for a more successful season than JJ McCarthy, because, like, everything's aligned. They've improved the offensive line. They have the pass weapons. Like, I understand Jordan Addison suspended, and a lot of his wide receiver twos are hurt, but, like, I'm still okay starting these guys, especially if I invested the draft capital, because the upside is there, right? The upside is definitely there. I just feel like we're going to see a lot of growing pains, and, we're going to see more of the rushing offense for either offense than we are going to see the passing offense. But I'm still starting them because the ceiling's sky high. All right, speaking of sky-high ceilings, here is our top 14 quarterbacks for this upcoming week. For week 1, we got Josh Allen at QB1, Lamar Jackson at QB2, Jalen Hurts at QB3, Patrick Mahomes against the LA Chargers at QB4. Love him. Did we even go through this game? We must have. Jaden Daniels at QB5, Joe Burrow QB6, Kyler Murray QB7, Baker Mayfield QB8, Bo Nix QB9, Trevor Lawrence QB10. At 11, we got Drake May. 12, Jordan Love. Dak Prescott at 13, Justin Herbert at 14. And that wraps up our show, guys. If you guys like the video, smash the like, please and thank you. And if you guys want to know how to attack your wide receiver position or your running back position, well, just click these 2 here videos, all right? Till next time, which is like shortly. I'm literally not even going to change. I'm just going to record the tight end video right now. Peace.